Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Wednesday show. I'm your host, the One Ton Hammer, and my co-host with me, of course, are Terry
Hello.
and Jen.
Hello.
How you doing tonight, Terry?
I'm all right. How are you?
I cannot complain. Jen, how are you doing?
I'm doing well, thank you. How about yourself?
I'm fine. We have a bunch of news topics tonight to pick from. But before we get into that, I just want to address the opening of the show. There wasn't supposed to be any music. And I just wanted to give everybody a second to talk about IP. As the intro has been put out already, that I've known the guy for a long time, years. So I was pretty affected by hearing that he passed. Terry, you didn't really know him very well, if I remember correctly.
I mean, I knew who he was, and I did do
Yeah.
the interview with him on his channel.
Oh, you did the cream
But
stream?
no, the ice cream interview.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, other than that, we sort of like said hi to each other, but
Yeah,
we
friendly.
weren't like close or
Gotcha.
anything.
Jen, did you
Was he?
do you know him?
I mean, I was on the ice cream stream as well, but I kind of thought that he'd been on the Jack streams a couple times. Like not all the time, but like at least a couple times.
Maybe once or twice, yeah.
So I mean, I remember him from that as well. But I mean, he was always a nice guy.
Yeah.
He was.
And he was funny. I mean, he liked his horror movie genre, and he liked his puns and stuff.
It's the weirdest avatar I've ever seen. I used to poke him about his microphone too, because his microphone was always too loud.
I think the only time he really got me mad was when he used Bering's avatar. Not because he used Bering's avatar. Like lots of people pull that joke. I don't have a problem with them pulling the joke. It was the fact that he didn't talk. And I kept thinking it was Bering. And I was like, Bering does that too. Like Bering will join a stream and then not
just sit
really
there.
say.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm sitting there waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting. I'm like, okay, at some point you need to say shit so people know who you are. I mean, I'll still stay for prostate too. I just want to know who it is.
Well, we should probably say hello to chat. Keyword M, of course, out there as always. Mr. Adam, hello. Cynic.
Hello, Adam.
As well. And let's what do you guys want to talk about? You guys have the list. Is there anyone that you want to start with, or did you want to start talk about something else?
I like the Joe Rogan Neil Young thing because that is hilarious to me.
Yeah, what do you think, Jen?
Oh, sorry, what did you say?
Rogan versus Neil Young on Spotify.
So first of all, I'm absolutely a Jordan Peterson fan, despite the fact I haven't read any of his stuff. I've maybe watched a few clips of his because he's amazing to watch. I admit that I stopped watching him because I was like, he's going to brainwash me. Not because he's that kind of a guy, but because he's got the charisma and the way of talking that my learning type phases into. Like I could sit there and listen to him over and over and over again. But I didn't necessarily want to do that because the problem with me is I have to actually sit there and talk to somebody afterwards. I can't just listen to a person because otherwise I'm spouting that shit like it's my own opinion. And that's not how school works. And he wouldn't approve of that either because he's actually a good professor. But I think Ethan has to know he's on the outs somewhere. You know, because he's not likable enough to be really that into the left. Like,
is that Ethan Klein that you're talking about?
Yeah. Because I know the Rogan and the Neil Young thing. Oh, sorry. The Rogan and the Neil Young is different. Sorry.
I was wondering where you were going with this, but
well, no, you got a good point.
I figured it out as you were talking, but I was like, that seems a bit of a unrelated tangent.
Well, he's had a lot of controversies lately. So it's been him against TYT. It's been him against Ethan Klein. You know, it seems like Rogan's been being attacked a lot. and it just seems like Neil Young is the last one in the succession here.
Yeah, I meant to say different things about Neil because I'm quoting my dad because you got to understand that Neil is Canadian, and what my dad used to say, he's always been an arrogant asshole, he's always been an opinionated asshole, and he's always been a retarded hippie.
So he's not the typical Canadian, is what you're saying.
No, he smells bad.
Hearing that kind of ruins my hypothesis because I was thinking he was actually being smart, where he was saying, I don't make much money on Spotify, so I can make this big song and dance for a virtue signal. They're obviously not going to pick me over Joe Rogan. That's retarded. But I'm not making much money that way anyway. I can give that up and be in the spotlight for a few days. So I thought he might have been being savvy about it, but probably not if that's his reputation.
My take was that he was egotistical. He thought, well, I'm a long time Emmy-winning musical artist, and from a time long gone, and people idolize me, blah 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 blah, and I can push my weight around. And he found out pretty quickly that wasn't true.
I was trying to be charitable because I usually try and find the explanation that doesn't make the person seem like a raging asshole quite as much.
No, my dad said that
he genuinely thought that Spotify would pick him over Joe Rogan, who they paid $100 million to get him to move onto their platform. Then he's an idiot.
I think he thought that they would try to give him more money first before they dropped him.
That's a good approach, I guess.
I think that's what he was really trying to do, because while virtue signaling, like if you look at it from the perspective of seeing what Chris did with Netflix, he's absolutely got a job with Netflix. Like, to be fair, it is one of those things where I'm always going to have to watch reruns of people ripping off Netflix to get those shows, because I'm not going to buy Netflix. But I could see him trying to pull that with the hope of getting more money from Spotify. Because if he could get a better deal from Spotify, I could see him doing that. But I think it was a mixture of both. I think he was hoping that they would try to wheedle with him a little bit. They weren't going to keep him, but to at least have the ego feed. But my dad said that this is not the first time he's pulled this kind of shit. Like, he's very much
arrogant.
Yes. And he thinks that because he says something, it should just happen.
So do you think when he heard the news, his response was, there's something happening here? What it is ain't exactly clear.
I don't know how many people are going to catch that lyrics, but I got it. I'm old enough. I got it.
Yeah, Buffalo Springfield.
For
what it's
He also probably made a failed move too, because as a guy who likes to feed his ego, I think he's really kind of forgotten how old his music kind of really is. Yes, it's good music. I still like his music when it comes on. Sure, I'll sing to it sometimes. But if you ask anybody much younger than me who just doesn't have parents who liked him, they don't know who the fuck he is.
Right.
He's kind of a creepy old man.
Different story if it was like Taylor Swift.
Yes, that would be very different.
I hate to break it to him, but he's a creepy old white man, according to most youth. Like, he might have good words and stuff, but
Spotify don't need him around anyhow.
Well, this also sends a clear message to anybody who wants to challenge Rogan. You challenge, you're going to lose. Rogan's going to win. So don't bother challenging, because you're going to go the same way Neil did. Bye-bye. Have a nice day. See, people need Spotify to get their music out there. Spotify doesn't need people. They can just do Rogan. They could do Rogan only. They could be Rogan's podcast from now on and make plenty of money. That's what it really comes down to. I mean, new artists coming on want to see their music on Spotify.
Yeah.
So
they're in the same position as iTunes used to be, where if you're not on iTunes, you don't exist.
You don't exist. Exactly. Kashal and Check Your Logic have checked in. See what
Cynic's here too.
And yeah, I just saw Cynic popped up on my screen. Welcome, gentlemen. For fuck's sake, Terry.
Yeah, what did I do this time?
I don't know.
Sorry for my Neil Young rant. It was just quoting my dad because that was
good.
legit my dad's quote. I'm like,
no, that's what you're here for. We're here to talk about stuff.
here's the thing that was 20 years ago.
Useless Cook is in chat. And Roasted Opinions. People just joining left and right.
Hello, guys.
It's the Wednesday show.
And gals. I know I'm not supposed to gender people anymore. I live in Canada.
I think Kiva's our only. Is Kiva our only beautiful young lady with short hair in the chat tonight?
What's that?
I said, is Kiva our only beautiful young lady with short hair in chat tonight? That's a callback from last week, folks.
I don't know the hair length of the people in chat for the most part, so I can't answer that.
Well, I mean, to get back on topic, I think Rogan has got Spotify pretty much set up. They're pretty invulnerable. No one's going to really leave after seeing this or even challenge Rogan. So,
well, I mean, if they got rid of Rogan, they'd have to pay the contract out. And
oh my God.
Like I said, that's like $100 million.
Yeah.
They're not going to do that.
No.
It's not just that. Like, I think a lot of people are experiencing what is called the Joe Rogan experience. Yeah, which is called, they make shit up about him, and then he takes out receipts because for some reason people don't understand that it's very easy to keep receipts, and then they get caught out on lies. People are already aware of the fact that the media is lying to them. So when you do it so consistently, over time, people just are like, okay, you know what? Enough is enough. I'm tired of being lied to. You know, there comes a point where you can only convince yourself for so long that this is the facts when you see enough receipts.
Yeah. Do you see who's in chat?
Mm-hmm.
You keeping an eye on chat?
Colleen. Hello,
yes.
Colleen.
I can't. What was her? Colleen, what was your title? It was senior correspondent. What was it?
Yeah, Florida correspondent.
And Sir Adamantine is in chat.
I haven't seen you in a long time, Colleen. I hope you're doing well.
And I learned from Scribe it's Colleen Bernier.
Yes.
You've got to go up.
Yeah, Bernier?
Okay, listen. I just, you know what? She missed me saying cornflakes in French, so.
And Sir Adamantine, welcome.
He had the Celestial House of Sin, I believe. In the Scribe Light law.
Yeah. There's so many things from that show that are still float around in my mind.
And check your logic gives the full title: Senior Staff Reporter and Chief Florida Correspondent.
Yeah. Here you go.
You know, I do appreciate that about Scribe.
He came up with some really good ones, right? Between him and Monkey, really, it was really those two because Monkey was the Monkey Dick Jim Jones. What was it? Monkey Dick Jim Jones movies, video games. I always wanted them to stay with, because SDA. What's the words I should use here? Parted ways, I guess, would be the political correct way to say it. But they should have kept. What was the? There was the meatloaf thing, but there was the Afro Taint. Remember Afro Taint?
Oh yeah.
That used to be in that little thing at the end, but she left and they stopped doing it. I always thought they should have kept it in. It just sounds so disgusting.
I think I don't think they should have added video games. I think it works better when there's 3 in the list. Like Monkey Dick Jim Jones movies flows better than trying to tack video games onto the end of it.
Yeah.
Even though that was like a courtesy to Satsu because that was Satsu's sort of sphere.
Right.
It sounds better when it's a list of 3.
The best thing about it was that they completely ignored it. These are the things that we're not going to talk about. And then we go right ahead and talk about it. It's the whole reason for that being there. Anyway, well, we have West Elm Caleb is on the list. and Stephen Breyer. My that West Elm Caleb thing is. I'm not sure we should get into that because that's. I'll run that through the rest of the night if I'm not careful. I got a lot to say about that.
That taps into your MGTOW.
Oh man.
yeah.
Yeah. But Stephen Breyer, is he a liberal judge or is he a conservative judge?
No idea. Never heard of him.
Yeah, he's one of the ones that you never hear of, but I think he's a liberal judge. So even if he were to leave and be replaced and Biden replaced him, they wouldn't really gain anything. He's not replacing a conservative judge with a liberal judge. He's replacing a liberal judge with another liberal judge, so nothing really changes. The SCOTUS is still conservative in majority. But the funny thing about all this is, you know who Tommy Lahren is, right? A really cute blonde chick. There's an add-on story to this that I saw trending from Fox News. Tommy Lahren draws backlash for her criticism of a Supreme Court pick being based solely on race.
Well, I did see that Biden said it will be a black woman who gets this position, which is retarded. Like, don't do that.
I just don't understand how people are getting away with doing this. Companies are doing it, Biden's doing it, and no one's getting in trouble. Yet we have a law specifically and strictly against doing that.
I think it's because people would be terrified to do things like sue. Like, I mean, somebody at some point is going to do it, but, you know, because your reputation already is going to be in question. Like, well, why are you suing because of this? It's maybe something where it'll take maybe a group of people to do, because sometimes people need a group to grow balls and have it be seen as not a racial, like, because that's kind of the thing. Like, if you come out as a single person arguing against it, they might just play you off as being a racist.
You have to prove that you're harmed.
Doesn't mean anything in 2022. Like, the fact that I eat vanilla ice cream makes me a racist to some people because it's white. How dare I?
Yeah.
So I don't think the accusation of racist carries any weight in current year.
Well, they did that to Jordan on the Rogan show. He said that Tyson, or is it named Robert Tyson? He said that he's not black. And they were like, they all blew up the fact he was black. And what Peterson was saying is he's more brown than he is black. And he was saying, well, I'm not really white. I'm actually kind of tan. And then Rogan jumped in and said, well, if you're tan, because Rogan's darker than he is. Yeah. So they were talking about the nuances of what we use for color. But the way it was presented to the world through the news was that he was accusing the guy of not being black.
Well, Biden accused a whole bunch of people of not being black.
Yeah, if you don't vote for me, you're not black. Yeah, I remember that too. But I mean, they made it seem like he was saying that this guy Tyson, I don't know his full name, but he's a leftist intellectual, I guess. I've seen him a couple times.
Is it Neil deGrasse Tyson or is it someone else?
No, it's Michael Dyson, I think his name is. Not T, but a D.
Oh, Michael Eric Dyson.
Eric Dyson, yeah.
I know who that is.
I've seen him, and he is, dark brown in skin color. And
I'm just having like this image in my head of like an arts class, because like that's all like liberal, like, oh, super liberal. I used to really like art. I still love art, because you don't need to be in school to do art. All you need is paint and a canvas and a paintbrush.
Yeah.
And talent.
No, talent optional.
But I mean, honestly, that's all it really takes. But like, I'm sitting here and I'm thinking about it, and I'm like, could you imagine a conversation where you're just really talking about paint colors and skin tones? Like, say you're doing an art scene, and maybe it's like, oh, you're going for something that's historical or something, and you're going for skin tones. Like, you've got names for those kinds of things.
Yeah.
They are different shades. You know what? These are the same retards who 200 years ago used to take mummies and made paint out of them because they were so stupidly ignorant that they couldn't be bothered to look into anything, so they just made shit up, and then they made paint out of people.
Yeah.
Sorry, I found that out. I thought it was funny. I also suspect that the crying boy painting that likes to burn down houses has a lot of brown in it. Just saying. Don't be a liberal.
Well, if in some way that you can prove that you're personally hurt by being shunned from a hiring position because of your color, then you've got a case. So if he nominates, because he's not really hiring, he's nominating them, and they're approved by Congress. So he's not really hiring them. So I guess he can get away with it there. But I see this in private companies. So you have to.
With Biden, I say, look, he's allowed to do it, but it's going to call into question the credentials of whoever it is that he nominates.
Oh yeah, they're a diversity hire. They're immediately not worthy.
Like it could be a completely brilliant black woman who gets the part, but everyone is going to say, well, yeah, but you only got the job because of your race and your gender.
Yeah, that's always going to be a question. You're right.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, he's a stupid man.
He is.
I want to ask him. I want to ask him if he's ever used any tubes of Mummy Brown, because he's kind of old. He probably has. I don't care. I'm a rebel.
What did they used to use? What did Crayola used to use for white people's skin? They used to use a color called flesh.
Yeah. There was flesh, and they did have nude.
Yep.
They used to also have a Mummy Brown. It was not made for mummies, though. Still made for blacks.
Well, some people were saying that he was going to nominate the vice president to the SCOTUS. I was like, how can you do that?
That would be hilarious.
How she would have to resign as vice president to take over her role as SCOTUS, and then they have to get a new vice president. How would you do that?
I saw someone suggest Stacey Abrams, which is funny.
Please,
I still feel. I mean, I know she's a shitbag too, but I still feel like he should have picked her just because she didn't trash talk him the way that Kamala did.
I think Stacey Abrams would have tried. Kamala doesn't try. She doesn't really do anything. She's just there cackling in the background. Stacey Abrams would have tried to actually do the position that she was hired for. She wouldn't have been very good at it.
It's a shame it's a shame they're Canadian, because I think Preach from Aber and Preach, if he just identified as a woman to get the role, that'd be perfect.
Oh man!
You know, I bet you he'd do a skit.
Can you imagine somebody? Can you imagine somebody in power having a sense of humor?
That would be awesome.
That would be amazing.
I mean, we had Trump who had a sense of humor for a while. Well, you did.
Yeah.
Say we.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the world did. For a period of time, he was quotable, if nothing else. I don't know how hilarious he was, but when he acted certain ways at certain times, it was pretty funny. I don't think he ever.
He was entertaining for sure.
He was entertaining. Yeah, it's probably a better word than saying he's funny, because I never really laughed at what he said, but I laughed at how he treated people. That was the funny part.
Yeah.
So, you were fake news. No. I'm not talking
wrong.
to you. You're fake news.
Wrong.
I hate. Yeah, wrong. 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 And he would just lean right into the microphone. He'd be like a good 6 inches away, and he'd lean into his face was right next to it, go wrong, and then back away. That's so funny. That's the kind of funny that he was. Funny in action, not in what he said.
Yeah,
but he's if he didn't say so many things that were so easily taken incorrectly, and of course Biden saying the same things, they wouldn't be. But he must have known that if he says something like, "Can you put a disinfectant in your bloodstream?" that people were going to automatically say bleach. That's not what he said. He said disinfectant. And technically, a lot of the things that you could put in your bloodstream are, look up the dictionary term disinfectant and look what it says there. It talks about
kills infection.
Kills infections, right? Which is half of the antibiotics in the market. So technically, he's right. Yeah. But when they heard,
technically, doesn't honey count under that? A
I
little
don't
bit.
know that it kills
guess.
infections. I think it prevents further infection. Like if you slather a wound in honey, the infection can't get in because the honey is so thick. I don't think it heals the actual
I don't know.
infection.
I guess like putting a Band-Aid on helps heal, even though it's not a disinfectant. I guess honey would do the same thing. It couldn't
Yeah,
really allow.
like it keeps it clean so that your body
Yeah.
can heal itself.
Right.
Mhm. But my understanding is like it kind of does a little bit similar to what like an onion or say garlic does. Like I can't remember the term. I think it's antioxidant. Like it
Okay.
has a like if you were to take I know this sounds like wives' tales or like witchcraft and shit, but this is stuff that they've done before. Where if you were to be like sick on your bed and take an onion, cut it in half, and then tie it to your foot, and then you take it off the next day and it's all black.
Hmm.
I'm
kind of
going to say that's a wives' tale. I don't
No.
believe that works.
No, it does actually turn black. It doesn't heal you.
Of
What
course not.
what it does is it has a tendency to suck out the toxins.
Yeah.
No, I
It's
don't
called a
think it does.
poultice. Have you ever heard the term poultice before?
Mm-hmm.
That's what it
Yeah.
is. It's a set of herbs or such that have a tendency to absorb anything they're put on. So they absorb a lot of the infection and the goo and all that kind of stuff out of the wound. It doesn't really heal you, but it takes some of the toxins away so you can heal yourself better. When it comes right down to it, the only thing that heals you is your body. No matter what you do,
Yeah.
your body is responsible for it. And that's kind of the whole thing that gets me with the COVID drug, because the COVID drug just tells your body who to target. That's all it does.
Mhm.
The mRNA version of it just it brings up the piece of paper that your body has that says what things are bad for it. And it just adds a new entry. And it says, this is also something bad. So your body reads and says, oh, well, I see one of those over there. And then your body goes and kills it. Right now, without any vaccines or exposure, your body doesn't have that on the list of things to attack. So when it sees it, it doesn't realize, oh, this is something new. I need to kill it. By getting the vaccine, it's added to the list. So in all cases, mRNA vaccines, if you want to call them a vaccine, I call them a drug. All they do is make your body aware, so your body, no matter what happens, your body is what fights the infection.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know that necessarily that the onions necessarily did that. Like at best, it was probably the closest thing to one that they had. But I just know that that's kind of what they were going for, because like they do have stories where like, yeah, they just had so many onions around them because like, you know, onions were cheap and kind of easy to grow.
I'm not convinced. I don't think that strapping an onion to your foot is going to do anything.
Well, there's something very specific about garlic. I don't know if you guys know about this, but I had this long talk about garlic, and I found out something very unusual about it. Is that if you were to take a piece of garlic and put it in your mouth, not even swallow it or chew it, just put it in your mouth, that they can detect particles of garlic in your toe in 8 seconds. It moves through your body instantly, just like that. And the reason that they were very interested in this is because when you freeze people, like Walt Disney, it takes time for the body to freeze. And what they were trying to do is to find a way of attaching the freezing process onto garlic.
Okay.
So the body would instantly freeze, because when you slow freeze something, the liquid in the body will crystallize, which causes damage to tissue and will kill the human brain. So if they can find a way of attaching cold onto the garlic, the water in your body won't have the time to crystallize. And that's how you can cryogenically freeze somebody safely.
The best reason to eat garlic is it keeps the vampires away.
That too. But there are...
You can go to Romania and you won't get bitten. That's worth the price of
or Tasmania, I hear. Let's be fair.
What's the vampires in Tasmania?
I don't know. I've heard that that's a thing. I don't know if that's true. There's a lot of things that happen in Australia that I hear that I'm not sure are totally true.
Okay.
Like last week I mentioned to you that phrase that I had heard. And I think you caught it, but I don't think Jen caught it. The phrase that I heard was, "We're not here to fuck spiders." Now that's something in Australia that's a known phrase, but I've never heard it before. Jen, have you ever heard that phrase before?
Nope.
Do you know what it means, Terry?
You've
never
I've
heard
never
it?
heard it in daily life. No.
Really? In Australian, that means we're not here to waste our time, because trying to fuck a spider would be a huge waste of time.
I could have determined from context what it meant.
Yeah.
But I've never heard the phrase. No one's ever said that to me.
Wow. I had a discussion about this. And that apparently maybe in different parts of Australia, maybe something on the West Coast. I don't know. But
it might be more rural areas. Maybe.
I don't know.
Because they're likely to have more spiders.
But I was guaranteed that it is a thing.
I believe that some parts of Australia do say that. I've got no problem believing it.
Yeah, I'm just like trying to think what the equivalent up here would be. And honestly, I'm like cow tipping. Probably.
Right. Something useless that's not going to be of any particular benefit.
See, Cynic's heard of it. He's agreeing with you, Hammer.
There you go. Yeah, it's a thing. See? I'm dumb, but I'm not so dumb. Anyway.
Yeah, like I said, I could believe it existed. It's just I've never heard it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's plenty of people that I know in Australia. If I was really concerned about it, I would have, talked to a bunch of people to see if I was crazy or not. But I only talked about it to one person who nobody knows. It's a real life person I know in Australia. And I was talking to them on the phone. So I was the one who called, so I spent all the fucking money to do it. Anyway. So yeah, there's that. Of course, I had problems getting onto Discord today. Did you guys? I know, Terry, you don't use Discord. Jen, did you have a problem at any point getting on Discord today?
Nope.
They got DOS attacked. Discord. You couldn't log in. I put a tweet out. I got a message from Discord saying, "Sorry, the API won't allow that operation at the moment." And I was like, "The API won't."
For anyone in chat who doesn't know, he means a denial of service. That's what the DOS stands for.
Yeah, DOS. Stupid computer guy. Oh, Richard Head joins us in chat too. Sorry, I missed you.
And
welcome.
Cannibalistic Wizard.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks for stopping by, guys.
Hello.
Yeah. So what I wanted to do, the reason I was getting into Discord, because usually, like I've said before, I don't spend much time on Discord, but I wanted to get the show notes out to Jen, because that's where she gets them. And I was like, how is she going to find out about this show if I can't post the show notes in Discord? So I tried to get in and couldn't. So I closed the app and opened up a web page and tried to get in that way. Same message. I was like, okay, let me open it on my phone. Maybe it's something to do with my PC or something like that with the landline. Let me disconnect my phone from my Wi-Fi and go through the cell service and see if I can get to Discord that way. Same message. Okay, so it's not me, because every method I tried to get there wouldn't work. So it's obviously not me. I'm using different networks with different components, and I've isolated the fact that it's not me. And so I put out a tweet, because Twitter was still working, saying, is this just me? And I immediately got responses back from Adam and a bunch of other people. No, we can't get in either. I was like, all right, I'm fine. But then eventually a message came up saying, we're getting DOS attacked. We're working on it. We're going to start allowing people to sign in on a very slowed down pace. Maybe in about 15 minutes, you might be able to get in. And about 25 minutes later, it popped up on my screen. And I was like, okay, apparently they got it fixed. But that's why the show notes were late for you, Jen, is because Discord down. It wasn't matter, because you couldn't. People who were in were fine. Like Cynical Lindsay was in already, and she's like, all right. And I was like, don't sign out. You sign out, you ain't getting back in. So
I use Discord in as much as when I turn on my computer, it automatically starts up.
Really?
Because I had to download the program because the website doesn't let you put the volume for an individual user above 100%. And I was on a call with Six and I couldn't hear him even at max. So I downloaded the program and put him up to like 150 so I could hear him.
Yeah.
And so now it just automatically starts up Discord whenever I turn my computer on.
If you go into settings for Discord, you can turn that off. It's just a little slider switch.
No, that's what I mean. On the website, if I went into to adjust 6's volume, it only goes up to 100.
Yeah.
If I used the downloaded program, I could put it as high as 200 if I wanted.
Yeah. But the auto start option for the web app, you can turn that
Oh,
off
right.
with a little slider, is what I was saying. So
I'll have to look into that.
I
yeah.
find it highly annoying that programs ingratiate themselves to your computer by doing stuff like that. If I want you to start, I will tell you to start. I'm very, you know how I am with computers. You will do what I say. I'm not going to sit here and be bullied by you, you know, meaning like
Oh, yeah.
Discord or other apps like that decide, hey, you've installed me, like Steam. Hey, you've installed me and I'm just going to start. And you're going to have a hell of a time trying to keep me from doing it. Sorry, dude. I will spend hours trying to track down how you're doing what you're doing, and I will make sure that you don't start. You know, so I mean, I get offended by that. There are programs I want started. There's no doubt that there's programs I want started, but and if they start, I'm perfectly fine with that. But you know, if you're stuff like Steam and what was the other one that was really annoying that was auto starting on me? Hardware info. It's something I use to monitor my system. That automatically started too. And I was like, I like to have my machine up and ready to go as quickly as possible. My machine boots really fast, and I like that about it. I've done everything I can to optimize my machine booting as quickly as possible. So these other applications that start slow down the process of getting the machine ready for me. And it's annoying to me. So I try to keep as many booting programs off that I can keep off. And sometimes I have problems getting programs to start. That's also been the frustration.
If I'm turning my computer on, I almost certainly want Steam to run. So that's fine with me.
Yeah, for you. For me, not so much. But I like, there's a program that I run that's part of our streaming product called Voice Meter. And I've kind of configured my system to work with it. So I want it to be up every time I boot my machine. But trying to get it to start, just putting it in the startup, there's issues with it. It wants to start on whatever the current screen is. Well, I don't want it to start on the screen right in front of me. I want it to start on the screen to my right. So trying to get it to start on another screen took an hour. Try to figure out how to make sure it didn't start. And then the program that starts with my machine that turns all the LEDs on for the fans and the motherboard and all that kind of stuff, that didn't want to auto start. And what I had to do is I had to write a program that runs to start that program, because the only way I can get it to do what I wanted to do was if I double clicked on the icon on the desktop. Only then would it start. Putting it in the startup or all those things that you would normally do to get to run, maybe putting in the system startup filter and that kind of stuff, it wouldn't run. The only way it would run was to double click on the icon on the desktop, and then the cursor had to stay on the screen where the icon was, or else it would start up on wherever the mouse cursor was. So if I wanted to start on my left screen, I had to put the icon that starts the program on the left screen. So when I double clicked on it, it started up on the left screen. Crazy Looney Tunes stuff. But I actually had to write a program to do that. I had to write a program under a programming language called AutoIt, and it allows you to move the cursor on your screen without you actually touching your mouse. So I had to move the cursor over to the side of the screen and double click on the icon. I can't move the icon now, because if I do, it's going to double click on nothing. But anyway.
Yeah, I just found the option in Discord. So yes, that will not start up on.
There you go. There you go.
That won't happen anymore. Thank you.
You're welcome. I was there when you did that. When you went to the Discord app, because I was there with you in 6. Remember?
Yeah.
So I remember that whole process.
Yeah, the whole reason I downloaded it was because the volume settings only went up to 100.
Right.
Yeah.
But anyway, so Discord's been fine ever since. I don't know. I guess the DOS attack subsided and that was it. But no problems with it anymore. So, hello, Mr. Yes. Welcome to chat.
Oh, yeah. Hello.
What else do we have?
I might have just.
Mm.
You might have just what, Jen?
Oh, I was gonna say I might have just missed that entirely because like I work early morning shifts, so
Did you fall
like I'm
asleep?
kind of no, not at all. No, you were talking about the DOS, and I was
Right.
just like thinking about it, and I'm like, yeah, no, I think I probably just missed it because like yeah, I start work at like 4:30 in the morning, and then I don't get off until 9, so
Mm,
I don't get home until 10.
right.
So
So it
what
already.
I heard is Jen needs help getting off.
Yeah, I just didn't
that
notice
sounded dirty.
anything. Yeah, I didn't notice anything because I always have Discord on. I'm kind of like Terry in the sense that I have it auto boot, but
Mhm.
I kind of like that part of Discord, but I kind of agree that I don't like everything doing it. It's one thing when I like it, and it's another thing when I'm like, can you not do that?
Yeah. So there was Whoopi Goldberg was trending on
Ooh.
on Twitter today. And it was actually the reason that she was trending was because of a fake. There was a post. I didn't actually check the name of the person posting. I don't know if it was a verified account or what it was. But the post that got her trending was, and I quote, Kyle Rittenhouse files $60 million defamation suit against Joy Behar and Whoopi Goldberg. That's what got her trending. It is a fake thing. He didn't do that.
Yeah.
No.
But it got her trending. And
See,
the number
every time I hear Joy Behar's name, I'm reminded of a line from a show called Dead Like Me, where it's like, who had the nerve to name you Joy?
yeah, I guess there's some of those kind of names. I guess Joy is probably one of them. But I mean, you have like stuff like Hope and Faith.
Yeah.
You know, those kind of names. They were at one point, and she's an older woman, at the time when she was a baby, those names were kind of in vogue.
Yeah.
So
Characteristics you want your baby to have.
I guess that was the
Like
thought.
hope, faith, chastity, sort of,
Yeah.
generic stuff.
You think maybe she's just senile? Like a lot of them aren't just senile.
I think she's senile in the way that Biden is senile. She's just not really aware of what's going on. What really focused the problem with Joy Behar is when they had Milo on the show, Milo Yiannopoulos, and she picked up cards. She always has cards that she reads from. She picked up her cards and she started saying this, that this is Milo Yiannopoulos. He's an anti-black, anti-Jew, homophobe who blah 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 blah. And the girl who was sitting to the right of her, I don't remember who it was. Maybe it was Raven. I don't know. She stopped Joy while she was talking, and she pulled on her arm and she says, "He's gay."
And married to a black man.
Yeah, I don't know if she actually said that, but she said he's gay, and Joy just kind of like looked around like stunned, like deer in the headlights kind of thing. And another host jumped in and started talking to kind of cover for her. And that's where at that point, I learned that she has no clue what she's talking about. Someone is feeding her things, and she's just expounding on them because she doesn't do her homework.
Like, I'm not saying she doesn't have a little bit of her own racism too, but like that's kind of what I mean by being senile. Because when you're senile, I mean, aren't you kind of a little bit like a child? Like it's almost like
you regress.
Yeah. So I mean, she's gonna say what she thinks, and it's gonna be offensive. And it's like at that point, you're just like, yeah, you're kind of offensive, and you're kind of a racist. But I also think you're probably should be in a home with your family.
Everyone's a little bit racist. I have it on very good authority.
And that's fine. She's old. In her time, maybe she has dealt with a few assholes. I don't know. I mean, she also seems like the type of person to take like really mild things and blow them out of proportion. But you know what? I haven't lived her life, but I think she's just senile.
Well,
I'm not saying she's not a bitch.
Yeah,
you can be both.
Well, she's functional enough that she can contribute to the conversation. She can keep up with everybody. She doesn't say stupid things like Biden does. So she has that, but it just seems to me like she's lazy. I think it seems to me that
For
to
sure.
be the biggest problem with her is that she just does the minimum amount of work that she has to do to get her point across. So she's always seems like she's unprepared.
And Keith says Milo Yiannopoulos, isn't he Jewish as well? I
He
think
is.
he is.
He is.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's
So
a gay
that's
Jew
also putting
conservative.
a hole in the
I don't-
anti-Semitic claim.
I don't think he's still married to that black guy because, from what I understand, he's denounced.
Oh, he's
his
a reformed
gayness.
sodomite now.
Yeah, he denounced his gayness. So
Yeah.
I
No,
don't
I
think he's-
just love the phrase reformed sodomite. That was hilarious.
sounds very
That
biblical.
was well done, Milo, for coming up with that.
It sounds very biblical. Like he actually was at
It does.
Sodom and Gomorrah. He's a sodomite. That's pretty funny. But yeah, when I saw that in the thing, I was like, yeah, that's end of her. I don't believe anything she says anymore. I just immediately wrote her off. So yeah, and Assassin makes a good point. She's a feminist. She has an emotional opinion, but she never has any facts. It's always the
Well,
emotional
she has
argument.
the fact that women get paid 70 cents to the dollar.
It's that
And the fact that there's a pink tax.
assassination of the Grey is not pulling any punches. She is not senile. She's just stupid in caps. Traits are
The
similar.
traits are similar.
Yeah,
Oh,
as
Lord.
somebody who now stocks shells and I now stock shampoos and shit like that, there ain't no pink tax. That shit is
course not.
expensive for a reason.
Well, even if there was a pink tax, if you're willing to pay it, then it's really not an issue.
Yeah. Like, there's no one holding a gun to the women's head and saying,
Yeah.
put that blue razor down. If you are a woman, you get the pink one and pay the extra $5.
Yeah.
Also, is it really pink tax or is it brand name tax? Because if you're talking brand names, the men pay quite a bit
it's not brand name. What it generally is they'll make two lines of product, one that's targeted towards men, which has very simple components, and one that's targeted towards women, which has a lot of expensive components that women want, like perfumes and such. And that makes it more expensive because there's more expensive stuff in the product.
See, I gotta counter that because the thing is men use different shit, so that's not entirely true. Like if you're
Maybe
the guy
modern
who
men do, but
well,
proper men
no,
don't.
I mean, most men do because like if you're either taking your beard off or you're putting your beard on, women don't have that problem.
Well, hopefully
No,
not.
That shit is expensive.
At least generally
too.
females don't. I don't know. It depends on your
Like that shit is expensive too because you don't just use the shave. Like there's more than just the cream. Like you have the aftershave stuff. Like if you have problems with ingrown hairs, you have that crap. There's a reason.
There's a reason that there's that meme going around where the men's product is like a 12-in-1, dishwashing liquid, shampoo, body lotion, and then the woman's got like this is specifically formulated for the hair in your left eyebrow.
Like make no mistake. If I decided tomorrow that I didn't want to use a hair conditioner, I'd be fine just using shampoo. It'd just be a pain in the ass to comb my hair. I can use regular stuff. In fact, I do quite often. As a poor broke woman, I'm just as keen to get it from a dollar store as anywhere else, and I don't mind if it's a no-name brand. If I'm buying up, I've actually found that half the time buying up doesn't mean shit because you actually have to do research on the stuff you're buying. Like if you just go and buy expensive shampoo, you're going to waste your time. You're better off just going to a hairdresser and asking them because most people, like most women, spend too much on their hair because they don't know shit about their hair.
Yeah.
I did that a few times and I got a $20 bottle of shampoo for $11. That's why I bought it. I was like, you know what? This is the one time I can get a $20 bottle of shampoo. And to be honest, it didn't do shit. I had a $2 bottle of shampoo that made my hair look glorious. And then I had this like $20 bottle of shampoo that, yeah, I know I paid half price for. Didn't do shit. I went to a hairdresser and they're like, yeah, that's because most people don't know their hair type.
Yeah, I don't give too much of a care about my hair. It's just I'll wet it and I'll put
Mhm.
like cheap shampoo in it to clean it, but I don't go any further than that. I don't have 6 different conditioners and fragrances. Just soap, effectively soap,
Mhm.
goes in the hair to clean it, and then
Yeah.
done.
Frosted glasses in chat. Hey, Frosted.
Hi,
Yes,
Frosted.
I said.
Um,
Well, I didn't say hi, but I replied to his comment.
yeah, I just, I'm a guy like every other guy. I just use a bar soap. I just used
Mhm.
Yeah.
Irish Spring, a deodorant soap,
Mhm.
and I don't have a full head of hair. I'm quite thin on
And
the top because I'm
that's why the
58
men's
years
stuff
old,
is cheaper.
and I can just
We're willing.
I just use hand soap on my hair. It works. My hair's clean. It smells good. What else do you
Yeah,
want?
like that's my point. Is like that's why the men's stuff is cheaper. We're willing to use cheaper stuff. We don't care.
I was willing to use Irish soap. My only complaint with Irish soap is that it's pungent.
What, Irish
It's
Spring?
very, yeah,
Yeah.
it's very pungent. But like I said, I'm willing to buy cheap soap because to me, soap is soap. Soap is soap. And to be honest, a lot of the men's stuff has less stuff in it. So if you have delicate skin or you have a tendency to break out and shit, men's stuff is a little bit easier on you in the first place.
Uzi's in chat. Hey, Uzi. How you doing, sweetie?
But yeah, I don't do any of that stuff anymore. I also learned that women overuse their stuff too. Like one of the hairdresser guys that I watched was like, yeah, you've got women who wash their hair every day, and that's kind of that.
Isn't
I
that
know
too
that
much for women to do it every day? Isn't that like
it,
damaging to the hair?
it actually kind of is. It's one of those things where, like, as a society in the West, we've kind of over cleaned in a little way. Like when it comes to things like your hair, you're not supposed to wash it that frantically. It's more like maybe once or twice a week you should be washing your hair. It's your body you're supposed to wash every day.
Yeah.
Your underarms, your pits, like that's what you're supposed to wash every day. But your hair, back in the day, like back before shampoo was invented, it was once a month, if that. And they used egg whites. So
maybe I don't know if I'm being good with this or not, but I shower a full shower and wash everything every other day. Every day I take a GI shower. GI shower is pits and crotch. Wash your ass, your armpits, your genitals, that kind of stuff.
Wash your ass.
And my hair, yeah, wipe your ass. But like my arms and legs, I don't do them every day because I don't really go out in the world. And I don't really do anything too stressful, so it's not like I'm sweating or anything like that. So I find that if I wash my entire body with that soap, that's because I use nothing but Irish Spring. If I wash myself every day with that soap, that my skin dries to the point where it flakes. I have to give it a day's rest.
Wash Your Ass is Tariq Nasheed's rap album.
Yep. Yeah. So I mean, I wash my hair and face, my crotch and my pits and my ass every day, and then my legs and arms and back and chest every other day. Because if I don't, I literally can scratch myself and it's like a small cloud of dead skin pops up behind it.
That's a sign you need to wash it.
Well, that's a sign that I'm washing. It dries the skin to such a point that it just flakes off. So if I wash myself every day, that's what will happen. So I have to wash stuff like my arms and chest every other day, or else I'll just be itching like crazy from dead skin that's on my arms. So I have to do it.
That's kind of one of the things with Irish, with that brand, it is a little
stripper.
It is a stripper.
Yeah.
I did note that with that one that I did similar things. The only difference though is I do keep a body lotion, because I don't know about where you are from, but up here where I am specifically, not necessarily Canada in general, is dry as fuck. Like if you come to my city and you get off the plane, you're kind of wanting to go buy a liter of water.
Well, I'm diabetic, so there's that, because our skin is immediately a lot drier than the regular human being. And on top of that, I'm at elevation. I'm on top of a mountain.
Yeah, so you do probably understand
So
exactly.
it's really dry here. I mean, we have humidifiers in the house specifically because it gets so dry. You know, you start coughing and stuff like that. Your body just can't handle that much dry weather. You know, drink and drink and drink and drink, but still you end up with really dry skin. You know, I constantly trying to keep from rubbing my eyes because my eyes get, I actually have Visine for when it gets bad enough that I have to actually use Visine to keep my eyes, you know, in good shape because it just gets that bad up here. I should probably move to something like Dove or something like that. That's more of a moisturizing cream soap than I just like the smell of Irish Spring. Why are we talking about soap?
You know, because of pink tax.
Yeah.
But no, I was calling out the ladies because, like, yeah, it's not just that. Like, I think that a lot of those women don't really know how much men actually spend on their products because, yes, you got guys who do what you guys do and they just buy the regular soaps, and then you've got guys, because let's be real, not every guy does that. A lot of guys dress up quite a bit, and like if you're talking brand names, like,
Are we talking about 10% of the guys?
would probably be surprised.
She's got a point. If I want to shave my face, I can't just grab a shaver and just start shaving. The beard is way too long for that. I have to cut it short first with a trimmer that I had to buy. Trim it down to the point, then I can shave it. And then afterwards, I have to put some kind of aftershave on afterwards. And it stings. I have to put aftershave on afterwards or else I start getting ingrown hairs. So I don't really have a choice, you know, and all that stuff costs money.
It does add up, and depending on what brand you're going for, what skincare you have to go with, it does go up. Medical stuff is expensive. Like I said, I stocked a lot of shelves the last couple of weeks, and they put me down there, and I was like, "Can you not put me down the stinky aisle?" Because it stinks. But you know, I grew for appreciation for men's stuff because even your deodorant is not different from women's. Like your deodorant goes from cheap no-name brands where you can get some, like up here it's expensive, so don't compare my prices to yours. But say you get a basic bar for $4.99, and my store is a little bit overpriced. And say you went for like a name brand, you're going from $4.99 to $11.99. The women's bars aren't any different, except for they go on sale more often, actually. I find that their $11.99s go down to $8.99 more often than the men's, unless they have to push the men's because I think the men's sticks on the shelves for too long. You can't keep soap for forever. It does deteriorate and it goes bad.
Yeah,
It spoils.
It gets dry and it cracks and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, I don't know. I actually have skin cream for, you know, people often, I've heard this in jokes and stuff like that. People who are African-American, brown skin, dark skin people have the term ashy for their skin. My skin is ashy. Well, white people get that too. You don't realize it. You just can't see it because it's white on white. By comparison, it sticks out very, very much on a darker skin. I'll just say it that way. But I noticed that as I've gotten older, my diabetes has been more and more of a problem. I actually had to buy skin cream specifically for diabetics to try to, because after a while, your skin starts to get hard and crack if you're diabetic. So I have to literally put skin cream on my elbows and stuff like that, or else they'll start bleeding. It gets that bad.
Yeah, those aren't cheap.
No.
Like a cheap one is like maybe $12, but a good one, like one that will actually effectively do something, is like $30.
Yeah. And it's hard to find one that's water-based too. And all the skin doctors will tell you must get one that's water-based. So. Anyway, I guess we could spend a few minutes on West Elm Caleb. Have you guys seen Lauren Chen's video on it?
I have
I
not.
haven't seen her video on it, but I know the story.
Yeah. So there's this guy in New York City who is using Hinge. It's a dating app that's designed for dating. It's not like you know, hookups. It's specifically for, you know, establishing relationships, that kind of deal. And he's kind of playing the field. You know, he's dating women and, you know, not making any commitments, you know, and Some women are willing to go, quote unquote, all the way with him, but that doesn't stop him from dating someone else the same day. You know, he's got
Yeah.
plans, and he's just a young guy, you know, enjoying life, being single, you know, and apparently his name is different enough, and his looks are enough to date several women at one time. These women on Hinge have gotten together and identified him as a problem because he's playing the field. So he's leaving one girl in his bed and going out and having lunch with another girl while that girl is still at home in his bed. And they don't like that very much. And the killer on this is the first girl. It was Jeremy did a thing on this too. Jeremy, the quartering, did a thing on this. And
I saw a Better Bachelor's video on it. That's
yeah,
what I saw.
Yeah. This girl gets on and is talking about this, and she says, well, I stopped dating all my guys for the moment because I want to talk about this guy. So here you have a woman who is, quote unquote, playing the field, complaining about a guy playing the field. Yeah. Yeah. And Jeremy pointed that out. And it seems like just about every person who's done a story about this is running the same video of her saying that. And I was just thinking to myself, there's absolutely nothing wrong with what this man is doing. Yet he's getting dragged big time about what he's doing. And I thought, this is not normal? Is this not normal? I thought this was normal. If a woman does it, it's no big deal. If a guy does it, oh, he's a misogynist, blah, 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 blah. This brings me back to the ongoing entitlement issue that we have. And that's exactly what I saw on all the videos I watched from all the people who've done stuff on this. Is all I've been able to pick out is, well, this is just entitlement. That's all it is.
See, for me, I wouldn't be in that world, because what you described horrified me for different reasons. Like, I don't know why, but that's how I feel the plague has spread, is through people just having sex with everybody. And I've never once gotten rid of that opinion. But yeah, if they're all doing the same shit, then you're all hanging out with the same shit. So you're not allowed to complain about the same shit.
I think
that is also my opinion.
I think what angers them the most is if they don't respond in a way that maintains his attraction to them, he just ghosts them. So he'll spend time talking them up, and put a lot of effort into it. But if he feels like he's established some kind of relationship, if he feels he's put too much work into it, he just says, he doesn't say anything to them. He just boom, ghosts them. So they'll get invested emotionally with him, and then suddenly he's gone, and that's what's pissing them off the most, I think.
Yeah, well, basically, he's treating them like they treat regular men, and they don't like it.
Yeah. And my tweet was, hey, turnabout is fair play.
Yeah, it is. And
there are so many, what's the word I'm looking for? Proverbs. Is it Proverbs? I don't know what the right word is, but there are so many sayings along that line. What's good for the goose is good for the gander. You've heard all these before. You reap what you sow. How many of these proverbs have we heard that specifically talk about just this thing?
But I would even go further and say it's more okay when a man does it, because it's harder for a man to do it. Like, if a woman wants to date multiple men, all she's got to do is accept the multiple offers. Whereas for a guy to get multiple women interested in him, you got to be some pretty impressive kind of guy to do that. So
women are the gatekeepers in society. There's no two ways about that. Jenna, you have to agree with that, right?
They can be, and they are for each other too. Like, Frosk is an example of that. Like, I think I called her out on that last week, because I feel like what she did wasn't just her being entitled and making excuses for people complaining about her as a commentator, automatically assuming that that's sexism and it's because she's not as hot as other people. She was gatekeeping in my mind. But I just want to point out to Assassin that I don't have a problem with people actually doing the nookie. I just think that people who sleep around with a lot of other people when they're doing the nookie are usually also dirty people, and I don't trust them not to spread diseases. That's all I'm saying.
Kiever Dame has a great line on this. You see what she just said in chat? Women are locks, men are keys.
I've seen that one quite a bit. And
Yeah, on a lot of MGTOW channels talk about that.
Yeah.
What was Freshman Fit? They talked about it a lot too.
Yes. Though I've kind of lost a lot of respect for Freshman Fit.
Everybody has, but they did talk about it, and that it's probably, I think it's the first time I heard it explained that well. Have you heard the term lock and key for women and men in dating? Jen, have you heard that term before?
A little bit.
Well,
I mean, I've heard of the ball and chain when you get married.
Yeah.
No,
well, the lock and key thing, Terry, you could probably explain it.
Yeah. Well, the basic premise is that a key that opens a lot of locks is a master key, whereas a lock that gets opened by any key is a shitty lock. And by that logic, a man that can sleep with a lot of women is like really impressive, whereas a woman who has had sex a lot of times with a lot of different partners is a slut. Because the unequal comparisons, because it's a lot harder for a man to do it, so he's praised, whereas a woman just has to accept the offer whenever she receives it.
I feel like they really need to point fingers at theater and movies and overhype when they talk about that shit, because men who were caught cheating on their wives back in the day, like back in the 1800s, like I've been watching this guy do tours through graveyards, and yeah, he tells stories about men who would cheat on their wives. They got treated like shit too. Actually, it wasn't approved of. Like if you got caught sleeping around on your wife, it was considered disgusting.
Yeah. But my grandmother was really interesting when it came to this, because she heard about I think it was like an actor or an athlete or someone who was cheating on his wife, and he's like, but he was away from home. What was he meant to do for sex? Like that was her attitude. It's like, but what was he meant to do for sex? His wife was in another country.
Like it was a very different time. And a lot of how it was portrayed is not really.
It was a better time, really, between men and women. The fact that women are as unhappy as they are in this year tells you that the way it used to be was a better time. Women were happier before. There's no two ways about it. It's a fact that overall women were happier years ago compared to how they feel now.
Well, I think they were fulfilling their natural role, whereas these days there's a lot of pressure for them to be career women, which, I mean, some women are very well suited for a life pursuing a career, but most would prefer to be housewives, and I think that's what's making a lot of them unhappy.
I think a lot of women have a little bit of a similar problem to what a lot of men have too. And it's that a lot of us go to college with the assumption that we're going to get the big jobs. And let's be realistic, even if you go to college and maybe you do better because you're a female at this point, because I know that's a thing, like right now school is better for girls. Not everybody has the talent to do those skills. Even if you go to school, there's a good chance you're not going to get hired just because you don't really have those skills until you can prove that you do. A lot of women don't really go into trades anymore. And if you really look at like the early 1900s to like 1800s, that kind of stuff, a lot of women did do a lot of trade jobs too. They were just more geared towards women. And a lot of times they had to do with men and things like that. But a lot of women don't do trade jobs anymore. They either do their own. Like I really support women who start their own companies for clothing, things like that, because that's trades those are trades that women really did have a hand in back in the day. Like they were a lot of the factory workers that made the cloth. You know, they were the ones who worked the weaving and stuff like that. like, I understand that that's not like big tier jobs, but yet again, we have a society that craps on low industry jobs that are kind of necessary. And we're handing over all those jobs. And no offense to people who are moving to my country, because I actually appreciate that they are actually hard workers. I'm learning a lot from a lot of my coworkers right now, because I appreciate when somebody's smarter than me. I don't give a shit what you look like. If I can learn something from you, I will. I'm exploiting like that. But here's the thing. They are actually taking a lot of jobs that a lot of our youth could be doing. And they are actually jobs where you could make enough money to support yourself and your family. But a lot of people don't know that. They don't understand that, or they don't go in for trade schools. They go to college right away. And that's kind of something that I've kind of thought about. Like, yeah, a lot of women are kind of forced to go into these CEO jobs or go into engineering, and it's just like, even for men, that's kind of a specific trait. Like, not every guy is a computer guy like Hammer. You know, not every guy is a gamer like Terry, or
They
funny
should
like
be.
Terry.
I
They should
think
be,
it- I
or
think-
funny like Terry.
I think that there's a little bit of difference though, because I know very few women who are into computers. Very, very few. But I know a lot of gamer chicks.
Mhm.
I mean,
But you
something
get-
enjoyable is going to grab everybody to some degree. Computers are not that enjoyable, in all honesty. But you just have to have a talent for it. So, yeah, I think I only know 2 women who are into computers. Oh, and that includes real life.
That's kind of how I've been across the board. Like, I've never had a problem with women in computers or STEM or anything like that. I just stand by the opinion that if you're gonna do it, be the person who should be doing it. Because if you're not, then you're kind of holding us back. And I know that opinion is very harsh, but I'd like to see the. I'm not going to live in the generation that sees us move forward, really, past gadgets.
It's I've got bad news. Gunsky has arrived in chat, which means it's time to end the stream.
Yep.
Oh,
we should
dear.
probably get out of here. No, I'm just kidding.
Hi,
Yeah, I think
Jack.
the only person. Hey, Jack. I think the only person I know of who is female online that knows about computers would be Weibo. I can't think of anybody else. I mean, she's a programmer. She knows that part. I mean, I don't. She seems like she's competent working with hardware too. I mean, she had a problem with her machine, and we were working on it together, and she seemed to know her shit.
I don't know that Gamer Levine necessarily does computers, but I know she's
a streamer.
Well, she does that, but she I don't know what to describe what she does. I'm not sure if that's because she's a bit of a mixed bag of mechanic, and because she was a military girl too.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you know, so I think I'm not sure. I gotta ask her again. I'm sorry, I got a short memory for that kind of stuff. And I think she was here earlier, but I don't know if she's still there. But yeah, she does mechanics, and like I was talking to her about sinks and things like that, because she's like, that's the stuff I don't really know. But she worked in I think it's because her family ran a car shop,
cool.
mechanic. So yeah, it's not like women can't do that kind of stuff. It's just she grew up with it. It's also an influence thing. Like, if you grow up with that as being like a normal toy, or that's a normal conversation, and you get kind of used to it, or you get involved in the education of it, women will pick that stuff up. It's the enthusiasm of interacting with your kid that really kind of does it.
Yeah.
Like, my dad was kind of like that with me sometimes, but he's a different level of intelligence than me. And he's also a different learning style. So he was kind of like, if he tried to teach me math, I was lost. Completely lost. But if he were to explain something to me, like sit down and draw something up in terms of, say he did a diagram, like we were going to build a project. We were going to build, we built a go-kart. And he did the diagram. He had all the measurements on it. I can understand him explaining that to me. It's just a different type of math.
Visual learning.
Yes, I am absolutely like that. And it's also the way you talk to me. With him, God, it's hard to explain.
I'm getting you.
But it was hard. It was hard for him to pull me into certain things. Like, so my brother and him were very into archery. And this is where I'd say he got me wrong, because I was absolutely obsessed with it, because I was kind of in love with the sport. Like, I didn't want to kill anything, but I liked hitting the targets, and I liked the math, and I liked the challenge, and I liked spooking the hell out of the boys because they didn't think I could do it. But he never really took me along with them as often as he did with my brother, because he just assumed that I wouldn't be into it being a girl. And I was just, as long as you're not asking me to kill something,
Yeah.
I'll shoot. Like, because he had a game with his buddy where he would shoot stumps. At best, I might have to run away from a nest. That would have been funny. Terrifying and funny. So yeah, like I said, sometimes it's just the interaction with your kid.
Yeah. Well, we have run out of topics for the night. I came up with 5. I usually come up with 3, and I came up with 5, and we went through all of them. But last week I came up with 3, and we talked about 1. I don't get it.
Just the way it goes.
Yeah.
The way it goes.
Yeah, the only other thing I could talk about, I don't really know that much about, so I'm just going to end that one with a joke. But my prime minister is afraid of a convoy. Honk, honk.
Ain't she a beautiful sight?
Le
Yeah,
honk, le
trucking
honk.
convoy. I used to love that song when I was growing up.
I've only ever heard it because of The Simpsons.
It was in a movie. And then when the movie came out, it came out on a 45 record, back when there were 45 records. And I bought it. I think I bought that and Kung Fu Fighting on the same day.
See, I really like Kung Fu Fighting. That's a great
That is
song.
a great song. But yeah, that's I heard about that whole thing with the convoy, and he's making it sound like they're doing something wrong, of course. Like it's anti-democratic for them to be doing what they're doing. That was the last thing I heard Trudeau say, was something along that lines, like they shouldn't be doing this. It's against our free democracy. Blah, 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 blah. So I don't know. I'm all for it, man. They have a GoFundMe started and everything about this. Yeah, pretty cool. All right, let's say we get out of here. It's 20 after.
Alrighty.
Yeah.
I don't want to put Jen to sleep. That would be a bad thing. I don't want to do that. Thanks, guys, as always, for chatting with us tonight. We had a lot of people in chat tonight. I'm feeling really good about that. If you're looking for more of the show, our Discord is linked in the description down below. And we're live every evening with most shows starting at 11:30 p.m. Eastern, 7 days a week. Quiz on Monday, starting at 8 p.m. Skep on Tuesday. The Wednesday show, of course, us starts at 9 o'clock. Johnny Hellcat's on tomorrow, Thursday. Sanguine's this Friday. Harry Channel is starting the weekend on Saturday, and Delahazed is hosting this Sunday. We'll be back next week at 9 p.m. as usual. I hope you guys enjoyed the show, and we'll see you again next week. Goodbye.
Bye, guys.
Bye, guys.